Shalom Aleichem. We meet again towards Parashat Vayikra for a short and sweet idea. And this time, we're going to look at the bigger picture. What is the bigger picture? So we would say Vayikra is the first parasha of Leviticus, and we talk about korbanot, about sacrifices. And we say to ourselves, really, what is my connection today to sacrifices? What is it trying to teach me? That one takes an ox for this, and one takes a sheep for that. And sacrifice is so far away from our way of living today and our way of thinking. Why am I studying this? Why am I reading this? What message does it have for us today? And therefore, we look at the Rambam, the guide to the perplexed, the Moreh Nevuchim, and he says, well, the korbanot were to refrain us from avodah zarah, from idolatry. And since we don't have idolatry today, it's not so common, so we don't fully relate to it. The Ramban, Nachmanides, on the other hand, says, no, it's in order to connect us to higher levels of spirituality. And since nowadays we have quite low levels of spirituality, we can't really connect to these high levels of spirituality. But I want to share with you an even bigger picture. And the bigger picture means let's start from the very beginning. Let's look at Bereshit, at the beginning of the book of Bereshit. Now, in the beginning of the book of Leviticus, of Vayikra, it's an opportunity to look at where we are as far as the whole Torah is concerned. Bereshit starts with HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanting to create a human being that has free choice and will make the right choices. And he disappoints HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Adam is kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and he's disappointed HaKadosh Baruch Hu. His child Cain disappoints him even more by killing his brother Hevel, and the whole situation deteriorates until HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to go to plan B, which is actually to restart the whole universe, make a flood, find one tzaddik who is Noach, and this one tzaddik will start afresh, and hopefully this Noach, who is the tzaddik, will use his free choice in a positive way, and it seems that it's fine because he's told to build an ark, and he does, and save all the cattle and all the living livestock, and he does. But then towards the end of his life, he gets drunk, and he also disappoints him. His children disappoint, and later on, the Babylon, the Migdal Bavel disappoints HaKadosh Baruch Hu again and again and again, and we're going downhill until we meet 10 generations later, Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu doesn't disappoint HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he's tried 10 times. He has 10 tests, and he succeeds. He succeeds to such an extent, towards the end of his life, he has a son who's an upgrade of him. And Yitzchak is even a greater success. And until he has a son called Yaakov, which is even a greater success, until he has a son called Yosef, which we have 4 parashot, many chapters, all the things that are happening to Yosef, to find out that Yosef is a tzaddik from the beginning to the very end, and the end of Bereshit ends with a success story after all these years going down, all the way down, from Adam to Noah to Avram, to go back up to Yitzchak, to Yaakov, to Yosef, because it ends off with a pasuk that Yosef died when he was 110 years old. Vayisem ba'aron b'Mitzrayim, chazak, chazak, v'et chazek. We finally have one tzaddik. And that's the story of the first book. The second book is quite different. The second book starts with, okay, we have a nation of the children of Jacob, of Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, who are in Egypt. And one of them, Moshe Rabbeinu, meets HaKadosh Baruch Hu by chance one day at the burning bush. And actually, from this moment on, from one individual meeting HaKadosh Baruch Hu at the burning bush, it developed into Yetziat Mitzrayim, leaving Egypt, Exodus from Egypt, with the 10 plagues and with crossing the Red Sea and Sinai, and eventually building a tabernacle, Mishkan, and going the whole movement in Sefer Shmos. Exodus is from one Jew meeting HaKadosh Baruch Hu accidentally at the burning bush to a whole nation that is meeting HaKadosh Baruch Hu on a permanent basis in a tabernacle. which is a whole. It's like going from an engagement to a full union, to a marriage, from an engagement with a lot of turmoils, and until we get to a permanent house that we live together. V'shachanti b'tocham, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu dwells amongst us. Now comes the big challenge: married life. Ladies and gentlemen, married life is a whole new type of challenge. And therefore, in married life, we have to know, number one, Vayikra, beginning of married life, is you have to understand you need to make sacrifices. In order to maintain a relationship with Hashem, we have to make sacrifices, and which is exactly like in our small Beit Mikdash, in our own homes. In order to maintain a good relationship, we have to make sacrifices. Now, let's look carefully at the sacrifice. Again, today I'm looking at the bigger picture. If we look at all the sacrifices that were in the Beis HaMikdash, there were many, many types of sacrifices. That's what it seems, but that's not true. There are only two types of sacrifices. Sacrifices which are saying to our Kodesh Baruch Hu, thank you, like an Korban Olah or Korban Shlamim, Tmidim Kesidram, which are saying thank you to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the second type is a Korban Chatat, is a sin offering, an Asham. Different sin offerings. What are sin offerings? Saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, sorry, I made a mistake. Ladies and gentlemen, in maintaining our relationship to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is exactly like we have to maintain our relationship in married life. The most important things we can say to each other, husband to wife, wife to husband, the two most important things we can say to each other is, thank you very much, and sorry, I made a mistake. That's the bigger picture. That's the bigger picture of maintaining every relationship. I wish us all a lot of bracha and hatzlacha, learning from this important parasha and taking all this story of the sacrifices home to our personal life, which is very, very relevant to each and every one of us today, knowing the right time and the right moment to say thank you very much, and the right time and the right moment to thank you, to say sorry, I made a mistake. Shabbat Shalom.